Welcome back, everybody. How's it going? Again, today we're talking about the Retroid Pocket 2 Plus. Today we're going to talk about the front end dig. Now, if you weren't here joining us in the last time, I decided that the Retroid launcher here sucks. It's terrible. Not that it can't do anything. I mean, it's fast. It has its perks. But what it doesn't have is, I don't know, 100 emulators. So we're going to ignore that. We're going to ignore it completely because there's not much you can do with it anyway. What we're going to do today is we're going to talk about dig. Dig is the topic. So here we are. Boom. Getting in. Now, this is just the standard whatever, I don't know, it's showing screenshots in the background theme here, and we're going to change the themes in a bit. But first I want to talk to you about what front ends are. For those of you who don't know, and I'm just going to make it really quick. Basically, a front end is a place where you can house and organize all of your games or movies if you're talking about like Plex. So if you have Plex and you know what that does, it's a server that you upload all of your movies to, and then you can watch them that way rather than having them strewn out in your, I don't know, one of your folders or something. In this particular case, it's for your games, so you shove them into a bunch of different folders, and then this kind of makes them nice and organized and gives it a little theme and connects to all of your emulators. So it's a middleman, a middle ground, a common man, I don't know. Either way, it's a conduit, which that could have fit. Common man, conduit. Right? Just pretend it did. That's what we're going to do. We're going to pretend. It's a conduit basically between your games in your files, in your folders, your ROMs, your ISOs, and the emulator. And what we do is once, it does take a little bit of time to set up. It takes a little bit time to set up, but once that's done, it's beautiful. The ease of use of this is great. Full disclosure, and I know usually when people say full disclosure, they're like, I'm sponsored by blah blah. No, not in this case. Full disclosure is, I'm pretty sure that they're not updating this anymore. 2020 was the last time I've seen anything from them, and it was one announcement. Besides that, everything was from 2019 and before. So I don't think this is going to be getting a new update, but it doesn't need one. It doesn't need one, and we're going to move on with that. So let's just start. I'm not even going to get into it. Last time the episode went too long because I was rambling, and you know, nobody apparently wants to watch long videos. I like long episodes. I like sitting down and just enjoying it on my commute, but not everybody is like me. So we're going to try to keep it a little bit shorter this time, and let's see what happens. Let's start with the setup. Now, let's pretend that this is new, and no, I'm not going to wipe everything because it takes forever. That's one of the cons. There's not a lot of cons with dig, by the way, but that is one of the cons. It does take forever. There's not really another way to do it. It's a lengthy process. You're just going to have to deal with it. So first things first, we're going to go right into the options, and we're going to start from the beginning, and we're going to show you how to get all your games on here and how to get all your box art and all that great stuff, and it all happens in the options menu. So we're going to go in there. So yes, there are some things hidden behind a paywall, and you may or may not need those things or want those things. Well, let's put it a different way. You're not going to need those things, but some of you are going to want those things. I wanted some of those things, but good news, you don't even have to pay for a paid version to get some of these extras because you can get any three you want for free. So I've already bought it because I actually wanted to support the devs, even though they're not supporting the software, but whatever, it's a whole other story. It's $4. I think it's worth it. Some of the perks, I don't remember because they're all here now, so it's not telling me that they're hidden behind a paywall anymore. But some of the perks are, you can get a collection section, you can edit the game info, which is an odd thing to have within the perks. There's kiosk mode, which is basically, if you don't want to use touchscreen, it's all controller based for if you're at a kiosk. The sort by generation and year for some reason, and ignore, which sometimes you do need, sometimes you don't. These are things that are hidden behind a paywall, and you don't really need to pay for it, honestly. But I like some of these things, and I wanted more than 3, so I paid the $4. And I'll tell you what, I'm not looking back with regrets. I'm looking back and going, I made a good decision. This is the stuff that I want. But it's completely up to you, and I'm going to tell you right now, you don't need it. You don't need it to use this and bring it to full use, but if you want it, I think it's fun. I like it, and I like to support people, so, you know, sue me. But please don't sue me, because I have really poor. I basically had to put this thing on layaway, so it's gonna take forever to pay it off. But let's get into this. ROM scanning. This is how we get our games in here. When you start up, I think it actually just gives you the option to scan your folders, but let's pretend it doesn't and show you how to do this. Obviously, you would just click yes if that's the case. Now, this is off right now. I'm just keeping it up because I was attempting to do something and I want to see if it works. But merge game sets basically means if it's on, your bin and queue files will be put together and other things will be put together. The only time that I find it might be a little bit of a problem is within the arcade, because when you're in the arcade system, there's a lot of files that are associated with each other and you might differentiate between them. I do. For instance, The Simpsons. Simpsons has a bunch of different modes, mainly the two, which is 2-player and 4-player. You played 4-player, you're always playing as Marge, because you're a one person here. 2-player, you can select who you want to play as. So you usually want to play that 2-player version. Some versions of MAME want you to have the original version in there first, so that's why you have multiple. Merge will just put them all together. And I haven't tested it out yet on that, but I'm sure it'll be fine. And I know for a fact that you can go in and separate them yourself. You go in and you basically, I don't know what it's called. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. Next, we have automatically scan your device for game folders. That's why the first time you open this up, it's going to basically be like, hey, you want to search your entire SD card? And you can be like, well, I'll show you exactly where I want you to search, but you go ahead because I would like some games on here, you know? Anyway, keep that on if you want. If not, you do everything manually. You can also choose folders to ignore. So if you're like, I might put some updates in here, but I don't want Dig to just start looking, you know, I don't feel comfortable with that. You can just ignore certain folders. You go in there and then you can just add what folders you don't want it to search in. Then you have your start manual scan. Now, when you do that, you can scan your entire device, which, I mean, I would say probably do first, because when you do that, you're going to also get your Android games. And depending on where you installed your Android games to or how you installed your Android games, be it via APK or via the Google Play Store, it may not be just sitting in one of your normal folders. So what I would do is I would scan the whole device. Then what's going to happen is it's going to start adding everything really quickly. So you'll start seeing your systems move up and up and up and up from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, depending on how many, systems you have in there, how many games for a system you have in there. Then once that is done, it's going to start scraping. And we'll get to that in a second, all the scraping. But I'm going to tell you it's going to start flashing. So your screen's going to be flashing. There's going to be a wrench in the corner. You can kind of see it here, this wrench. Now, it says 1,550 images to check. It always says that now. I don't know why. It just won't check whatever those are, and I can't get it to go back to 0. But don't fret. When you add more, that's not included in it. This will just get bigger, and it'll still actually do those things. The 1550 will stay there at the bottom of your list, just doing nothing. Kind of like when you're using a printer and you can't delete the last print is just sitting there, and you're like, why not? It says it's done. Why can't you get rid of it? Yeah, anyway, like that. So that's your scanning of ROMs. It's very easy, very quick. When I say quick, the scanning process does not take a long time, but the scraping process does. It takes a really long time. Basically, you're going to see that wrench, not just here, but here too, in your main menu. And does it happen if you go into systems too? I don't know. Yep, you're there, and you said so. You'll have it in all of your menus if you're not in a different theme yet. And you're gonna click on that wrench. You'll see it going down. You'll see it going down. It's also gonna tell you, hey, you can play a game during this. We'll keep going. Hey, you can do something else. You want on here. We'll keep going in the background. It doesn't. It doesn't keep going in the background at all. In fact, I tested it out where I kept Mario 1 running, just the demo, over and over again. I came back, and not one thing was scraped. Because when the game was playing, it paused. It stopped doing that. So the best thing I can tell you is to just keep Dig running until it's done. So if you're the type of person who just added every fucking game you have into this system, and you're like, I want choices of everything, which is what I do, you're going to wait a long time for these to upload. The one thing you want to do is remember to turn off your screensaver, or at least extend the time to as far as it can go. Because once your fucking Retroid Pocket 2 Plus goes into sleep mode, again, it will stop. So, you're going to place it down. I know you heard me place it down, but you can't see me, but just believe me, I placed it down. And just let it run. Let it do its thing. And keep coming back and checking here and there. I would set an alarm, honestly, and the only reason I say that is because you don't want to get screen burning, which is what you will get. That's why I have this background that keeps moving, so it helps a little bit. But look at this. I mean, this green lettering is not helping if it's going to sit there. And believe me, I know screen burning with my Android, and it is a very, very sad thing. I have my old phone just still has the keyboard sitting there. It's awful. I don't even use the keyboard that much. I don't know why the fuck it did that. Anyway, this isn't about that. That's right, we're moving on. All right, so let's move on to game covers, because we were kind of talking about that just now. I would keep your preferred image quality at thumbnail. This is a small device. You don't need to be doing, high-res photos unless you really, really want to. But if you want your high-res photos to take up more space than your entire collection, I don't know what to tell you. I like to save all that precious SD space for games, but that's just me. So I keep download cover images automatically on. That's because when I add a new game, I might forget to rescan it, because I might just add it, go, oh yeah, I want to play this later, and I'll just throw it on. Then a couple days later, I'll turn on my system, and I'm like, oh man, there's no cover here. Well, there would be if I had it on, so keep it on for me. Download over Wi-Fi only. There's no reason to turn that off, because if you do, this isn't running on data. You're never going to get anything downloaded, so keep that on. Your storage location, I would say make sure to move your storage location to your external SD card. There's no reason for it to take up that small amount of space you have in the internal, so just move it to your external. You don't have a lot of space, and that's going to be saved for Android stuff, apps, and what have you for the internal. And refresh images is just what it sounds like. It's literally starting from scratch. You're like, I want to redo this entire thing. Boom, hit refresh images, and you're going to see that number count go all the way back up again. You're going to have to do it again. I'm not going to fuck around with that right now. Themes! All right, so right now I'm on blue covers. We're going to show you how to get a new theme. Aspect ratio hack off. I don't fuck with that, because when I get my theme, it will determine what the aspect ratio is. It's already set up correctly, so I don't fuck around with that stuff. You can edit your themes once you're done, but first what you want to do is you want to browse themes. All right, so I'm just going to show you some right here. This is the store, quote-unquote, aka free. You're going to click on it. It's going to take you to a website. You're going to download it. It's going to go directly to your Retroid Pocket 2 Plus storage, your internal storage. I believe you can change, yes, because it's Chrome. You can change it so it'll save to the external if you want. But you still have to find out where that is, because you have to go into Android, then you'll figure it out. You'll see it. And also, it tells you the storage location right under this, so you don't have to worry about that. So there's all these different things. This is basically what we have now, except it's a different image in the background. Just pick what you like. My personal favorite is, well, I wanted this one at first, Papyrus. I think it looks cool, but I'll show you which one my personal favorite is, because I already have it. So yeah, you're going to click on this. You're going to pick whatever you want. I mean, you can select it by the date, by title. You can view it as a grid or a wheel, just like you can with everything else, which we'll get into. But why? Who cares? Just pick your damn theme, download it. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go to install theme. It's going to say, hey, where'd you download that? Internal or external? And you go, oh, I put it in external. You pick the folder, you install it, and there it is. It'll show up in your theme. Oops. It'll show up in your theme right here. My personal favorite is this one. I just like the way it looks. It's got that DIY feel. It's all cardboard and, it's like someone put it together. And I personally enjoy it. There are some downfalls to it, quote unquote. Like, for instance, there is an MP3 loop that just goes over and over again. It's not of any particular video game song or anything that I know of. It's just a really annoying, slow, adult contemporary loop. Now, if you like that stuff, awesome. But I don't. To me, It has nothing to do with anything. So you can go and you can edit your theme. Now, you might hear there is no MP3 right now. And that's because I didn't even edit it. What I did is I deleted the MP3s completely. I looked to find where this was by, you know, doing a search and all that. Found it, looked inside, found the MP3s and deleted them completely. I don't need them on my hard drive. I don't need them anywhere. I'm never going to listen to them. I'm never going to use them. So, and it also, you know, because some of these downloads are pretty big. Like, there's almost a gigabyte. There's over a gigabyte. There's 2 gigabytes. Depends on what theme you have. Sometimes it's because of the MP3. You'll see it'll say 34 megabyte download, but then it'll say 350 megabytes if you want to download it with the music. So, yeah, and this one didn't give me a choice, but you can go in and you can edit it. And there, actually, I didn't even show you that too much. Let me open that up. Show you the backgrounds, the colors, all that stuff. Now, this is the defaults, but then you go into home, and then it has a specific thing for home. You go into systems, it has a specific thing for systems. So everything is different depending on whatever they are making this, whoever the creators are making this. You can make your own too. They're, you know, I'm sure pretty fun to do, but here you go. And then, of course, you can pick your storage location. So this way you know where your themes are when you want to go in and delete something, or if you want to do anything with it, you can see where they are. So themes are fun. I'm going to keep this on now because this is the one I use normally, so you can see what I see. Let's go into app. All right, so language, just keep it to whatever your device is, because I don't know why you'd be like, hey, when I play games, I speak in Italian, but when I'm doing anything else, I'm speaking in English. It doesn't make any sense, so keep that on device. Auto start dig on device boot. Well, we know that didn't work, because you can see that I booted up, and it took me right into Android, which is fine. It is what it is. You can actually download something. Tasker might help you out with it. There's an auto boot. There's a couple of like auto boot apps. Test them out on the App Store. Look them up. Go to YouTube. Do a search. Look for a tutorial on that particular thing if you want to have Dig auto start. Some people do. This way, it's like, this is my system right here. I'm not using anything else. You can go into Moonlight from here because they do have Android apps in here as well, but we'll get to that. We'll get to all of that. I have it on, but it doesn't do anything, and whatever. Use external browser for forums and other web pages. I did that because I would rather go to the Chrome, which I know, than whatever the internal browser is here. Backup and restore is exactly what it says. You can back up your theme and your setup if you want, restore it. That's up to you. This is really good for if you're going between different devices. So you're like, oh yeah, I have this on my Retroid Pocket 2 and my Retroid Pocket 2 Plus. So you can do it that way. Reset RetroArch config. What that does is actually kind of interesting. So when you start Dig Up for the first time, it creates a copy of your RetroArch config file immediately for its own use. Once it knows that you're using RetroArch, it looks into RetroArch, it makes a copy of it and puts it in its own. Right? Just clones that shit. But here and there, if you go into RetroArch and you make some changes, that change that you're making, because you didn't go through Dig. Now, if you do go through Dig, if you open up RetroArch through Dig, make changes, save those changes, come out, you're fine. You don't have to do anything. But if you just go into RetroArch proper and you're like fucking around with it, you change some configurations, you change your button layout, none of that stuff is going to come over through Dig. And when you open it up, it's not going to understand that. It's going to remember your old button layout, not your new button layout. So what you do is you come here and you hit Reset RetroArch Config. It then looks at your RetroArch configuration, clones it again, overwrites what you have, and, you know, you're done. You're good. So that's actually fairly important. And they kind of stick it over here, which, you know. But now you know. A lot of people don't know, but you do. You know. So, you know, congratulations. Pat on the back. User interface. Oh, keeps going over to the damn themes. User interface. So you can confirm exit, which is what I like to do. That's because I'm hitting B to get out of different menus. I always end up hitting it an extra time, and I keep getting the D. You sure you want to leave? Yes. No, I'm not. No. I mean, no. So I keep that on. You do what you want. Allow left and right controls to page back, page forward. You know what? I should turn that off because that's what I just kept doing. When you saw me keep going to themes, that's what was happening. I was going back. There's no reason for that. I like a nice A button to go clack, hit that fucking A button and you're good. But you accidentally hit left or right, you start going into things that you didn't want to go into before. Change gamepad bindings. Now this is fairly important. Let's go in here. Here you can set anything you want except for the back and the select. Those are set up like the Switch. So A, the right button is to select, and B, the bottom button knocks you back one. But you'll see here that there are other options. For instance, you can just hit select and go right home to the front screen. If you hit start, it'll change the view. I don't need that. So I could either just unbind it and I don't want start to do anything. I can make start do the same thing as A if I want it to. But there are other things you could do. I mean, let's see what options we have here. Are they all in use? I don't think they're all in use. There's a lot of stuff here. Like, I don't know why you would want to go to the FAQs, hit start, and be like, let me read the FAQs. It doesn't seem feasible. But here you can like select a random game. You can set it to, right now it's on change view. You can set it to turn the preview pane on and off, which is an interesting thing to make a button press for. The preview pane is what shows you what game you're playing. And we'll get to that in a second. It'll give you a little video and everything. Launch game, that's usually what I would want to do. Hit start, it launches the game immediately. Rather than going through the other screen, fucking just hit start. So I make start, launch game. The other things that say launch game here are RTR and LTR. I don't even know what the fuck that means. I'll tell you that right now. And hey, I'm here with you. I told you this is the top of everything, and maybe I didn't say it at this episode, but I guess I should, right? I'm not here to tell you specs. I'm not here to teach you every little thing. I'm here to walk you through the same things I had to walk through because I couldn't find a video to help me do that. And that's why I make these. It's because I want to make that video that nobody else made, or if they did, I couldn't find it. So, or they named it improperly. I don't know. And also just to have fun and look around and see what we can find. So I would think that these would be the the L3 and R3, but it's not. It doesn't even mention L3 and R. I guess that's supposed to be LTH and RTH. I have no clue what that's supposed to be. It doesn't matter. We don't have that. We have R1 and we have R2. We can't use these things. What we can use is the start button. So that's what we're going to do, is the start is going to launch a game immediately. So we do that, and you could change to any of those things that were listed that you want. I don't know why you would with a lot of these, but we'll get to what each of the buttons do. Actually, I can show you that now here. So L2, this is very important. L2 goes to the last letter that you just were at. So let's say you're in the C's right now. You hit fucking L2, you go back to the beginning of the C's. You hit R2, it goes to the D's. That already makes this a much better front end than the Retroid launcher, because that you have to go through every goddamn little box art each time, and it's infuriating. There's no skip to the next letter on here. On there, rather. Here, you can. And that's by using R2 and L2. Then there's other things. The R1 is going to be very important. We'll get to that when we get to that. But let's move on to the device settings. Orientation, landscape. There's no reason for it to be anything else, because this is not, I mean, I guess you could put it in portrait mode and hold it that way for the 4 arcade games that you're going to be playing that are vertical. But let's not say we did, right? I mean, come on. Yeah. Hide navigation bar. I turn that off for now. There are themes that are going to need it on, but you'll see. You'll see when we get there. Also, R1's going to work, so if you are hiding the navigation bar and you don't have that, you can still use the R1 to pull the menu up. Add device or network folder. Yeah, we don't need to do that, so let's forget about that shit. Set temporary storage device. Just keep that in your external. Keep everything in your external if you can. I don't know what extracted games cache size does. In fact, just don't bother touching it. Info you don't need. FAQ, credits, privacy policy, take a look into them, but you don't need them. So that's it. We're backing out now into the main menu. Now, there's another menu here, and I'm just going to show you that right now real quick. This menu. It doesn't do much. I call it the pull-out menu, because that's what you do. You pull it out from the side. Home goes back to home. Voice search. These are all the things that you saw that there were buttons for before. That's if you want to search for a game or whatever. You want to use your voice. You want to use the mic. Do that. Select random, of course, you can select a random game. Now, that only works for certain themes. There are some themes that it just doesn't make any sense, especially ones that are set up as a grid. If it's set up as a grid, it's just going to take you to, like, a row of games rather than an actual game. But on mine, and I'll show you here, we'll go into Systems, we'll go into ColecoVision, we'll open this up, and we'll say Select Random, boom, there you go, Buck Rogers. And so, you know, if you want to use that. We also have systems, genres, collectors, everything else is on this menu. Everything else is on this menu. So if you're on kiosk mode and you can't use this because there's no touchscreen, you will find all this right here. And you saw all the options were also in the options menu, or you can bind your gamepad to do that. So don't worry about that. What else do we have here? Announcements. Look, you'll see the last announcement was from September 29, 2020, which is sort of promising. No, it's not. It's over a year ago. Before that, September 4th, 2019. So, yeah, they're not really doing anything much with this anymore. But still, $4. I mean, they deserved it for all the hard work they did anyway. And your quit button. So, don't worry about that pull-out menu too much, because when are you going to really need it? I don't know. There are other ways to do those things. You can randomize by hitting a button. I forgot what button it's tagged to, but you don't need that. So let's go into your systems here. Oh, actually, no. Hold on. Before I do that, so I just hit R1. That's going to pull up this little side menu. Now, before, when the toolbar was visible, you could see I clicked it and it came down and it's, it said view as whatever. This is the same thing, except I'm hitting R1 to do it. The only thing that's not going to be visible is the wrench to show you how, where they're at scraping. You're not going to see that. There's no way to pull that up unless you go back to a different theme. Right? So you can always just go back to an old theme and look at that for a while until it's done and then come back to whichever theme you pick. Now, before I show you what this does, I don't want to fuck up my theme, but let me show you this real quick. So here's your list of your home screen items. Yep, we'll talk about that in a second. If you saw the last episode, if you know how it goes. Let's say you don't want genres. You don't care for that, and it's just bogging up your screen. And also, you don't like all games. So you click those off, and look, those are gone. So now you go Systems, Collections, Favorites, Games Played, Options. That's it. Of course, systems would be your systems. Well, let's bring everything back before I explain what everything is. Whoops. Let's hit that. So let's bring these back. So if you want everything, of course you can. Genres, look, this is all obvious, but whatever. It'll show you all the different genres. Now, it's whatever they're labeled as. So whether you labeled them or someone else did beforehand, here's what they're labeled as, and then you can go from that. So if you want to watch a frickin', or if you want to play a game, look at this, it's 416 fighting games, and they're all right here, so you can see them in that like little collection there. You'll scroll down, and here's just a random one, matching. What's that mean? So matching apparently is like Tetris, or, well, it's more like Dr. Mario. There it is, Dr. Mario. So there you go, and you can just look at genres that way. All right, back to this. So now there's collections. Now we'll get back to that in a second. Favorites are the ones that you favorite. I have nothing, as you can see as I go in here. Games played, it shows you all the last things that you played, so you'll see all the last things that I played, some of them from here, some of them not. All games literally just shows all your games in one spot. Now, this is good for searching. So if you want to search for a game amongst everything, you come into here, hit your R1 menu, and then you can search the entirety of your system. Everything, at least that has a game involved, will, whatever it is, will pop up. So you can search for something that, I don't know, contains fantasy. All right, and I just typed that in right there. And now you're getting Dungeons and Dragons computer fantasy game. You're getting... So, weirdly enough, because I typed that in with my hand, I think, I can't use the controller right now. Oh, there it goes. That was very strange. Weird quirks like that, you'll have to figure out. But here's everything with the word fantasy in it. So, I guess it even shows you what's in, because it was fucking Zelda. Oh, the Hyrule Fantasy. It's, yeah. So, there you go. Fantasy Zone. Anything with the word fantasy will pop up here. There's a million versions of this. I'm going to have to really clean up my fucking system. This is insanity. There's no reason for all this. And if you keep scrolling down, you got your PlayStation stuff. Every system shows up here. We're not, you know, talking about anything new. Anyway, options we already know. We talked about options. Now, before I show you, let me just change the theme for a moment here, because I don't want to fuck up mine. Let's just go to this. Oh, see, that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about annoying MP3s. Yeah. So you can turn this off by editing it. This is quite annoying. At least this is relevant to the situation. Let's turn that off. Just so we're not confusing each other here, you know? Let's see. Background sounds? None. Nope. Save. Okay, now we're good. Woo! All right, that was quite annoying. Let's move on. So the reason I'm bringing you to this theme is because I want to show you what, you know, the other configurements are. So you can watch it as a grid, and then it would look like this. You can view it as a list, which should be down like this. You can view it as the carousel, and then it kind of scrolls around like that. It's kind of like hyper spinning away, except like on the bottom rather than the side. Cover flow, which is what this theme already had. Then we have wheel, which is the top version of what we just saw with carousel. Yep. Linear is just straight. Nothing special about that. Kind of, you could use that for like a Switch style menu. And just titles is literally the least fun thing that you've ever seen in your life. So, oops. And vertical, which is this, which again doesn't work for this theme because of the way it's set up. But if you like it this way, you like it this way. It's completely up to you. All right, let's move on from this shit. So we get what that does now. We understand. Let's go back to my fucking cardboard theme because I like it. So options, themes, cardboard. Here we go. Ah, it looks so much better. Okay. So before we move on to systems, let's just look at collections. And this is what I was talking about. So here it's set up. I didn't put an image. It's like fucking half a D. It looks ridiculous. There's nothing I can do about this right now because I don't have an image specifically for it. Also, this theme may not work with what I'm trying to do, but I guess we'll have to find out. And I'll let you know if anything changes. But if I have my own image, it shouldn't be an issue. I guess the bottom is like that because that's where the games will show up. But that's bizarre to me. If I want to view this, let's configure it. Icon aspect ratio. So there we go. So now we can see that. So yeah, depending on what you do with your icon, you know, how big your icon is, you could fuck around with it and see, you know, what you want it to look like. There's your 8-bit font. Care though. It says icons only. What if I turn that off? Then it says Disney, and you might go, Disney? Uh-oh. If you know, you know from fucking last week. Yeah. Well, this is bizarre because I didn't do this. Somebody added a bunch of shit to this collection. What the fuck, people? So I can see that this is all Nintendo 64. So something has happened in which Nintendo 64 games have been added to this collection. Like, and it's fucking driving me insane. What is the one that hasn't? Atari 20... That's the Tron. That should be there. Huh. Why did this fucking happen? I don't know. It might have been before. This is the second time I'm recording this. The first time I was showing... So I probably fucking did this before. So, being that this sucks, I have to delete everything out of here. Because this is garbage. So, we'll start from the beginning. That's exactly what we're going to do. So, we're going to come out. We're going to long press on this. We're going to fucking delete it because fuck you. Yeah, I'm going to delete it. And now, we're going to create a collection. We're going to do it again. It was going to be fucking funny because it had all these, like, Disney games in it. But, you know, will this collection contain games or other collections? Games. All right. So now there's nothing in here. We'll come back to that later then, since fuck you happened to me just now. All right, moving on to systems. So for this one, if you hit the R1 menu, you're going to get a whole bunch of different things. So one of these things is all generations. And this is one of the things that are behind a paywall for some reason. I don't really know why, honestly. It's not one of the things I would have picked if I was going to use the free one. But here it is. So if you only wanted to look at 5th generation systems, here they are. You got your 3DO, your Jaguar, your 32X, your Saturn. This was a very odd year. Your PlayStation, your Virtual Boy, N64, Game Boy Color, Neo Geo Pocket Color, and the WonderSwan Color. A lot of color systems happening in the 5th generation. Of course, I just keep it on all generations because if I want to narrow it down, I can do that differently. Okay, but that's an option. So if you only want to see those systems and you're just like, I don't know what to pick, I want to play something in this particular generation, you can just do that. All types. Now you could just say, I only want arcade. So here you're getting the MAME and the Naomi only, and you might go, well, that's it? No, you got the Atomus Wave, you got if you make any sort of like collection, now you say, oh, wouldn't that be in collections? Not really. You could clone your system, which I'll show you later, and then create like a smaller version of that. You would put in like a separate folder. For instance, if I wanted to only have Nintendo games, Nintendo arcade games, that could be in its own folder, you know? So that's how you do that. Whoops. Okay, it went back out again. So you could do arcade, you could do it by consoles, by handhelds, and by computers. Computers is the last thing I want to do, mostly because to use a keyboard is annoying, and then at that point, you might as well just fucking play it on the desktop. But if you're on the go and you really want to play some, I don't know, King's Quest or Space Quest or Quest for Glory or Police Quest, or whatever other Sierra game you want to play, LucasArts game, you can play Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. Any of those, you can play them on the go if you want. Just bring your own keyboard and an OTG cable and you'll be good. So there you are. That's how you do that. Next we have View Ads. This is the same thing. We're not going to go over it again. You could change it. With a theme, you want to keep it as is, because otherwise it's going to be completely fucked. You know, if you put it vertical, you saw how it looked before with Pixel Rage. So we're not going to do that. And the configure is exactly the same too, so we don't have to worry about that. Next, you can sort by name if you really want to. That's how a lot of people do it. That's not how I do it. I like it as sort by release date. In fact, I thought I was going to have to do something special to get it, but this just gives you the option to sort by release date. So you can say, hey, I want to scroll from the beginning to now. And you can just do that. And then it ends in Android. So, you know, it's up to you how you want to do it. I'm not you and you're not me, so it doesn't really make a fucking difference. Next up we have has theme icon. I don't know what that means, so I'm not going to do anything with that. I really have no fucking clue what has theme icon means. Sorry. But here's the best thing. All systems will show you everything that they natively support. And when I say natively support, I don't mean because they don't actually carry the emulators, but everything that they are set up for. So if I click all systems here, now I'm getting the Fairchild Channel F. I'm getting the Apple II. I'm getting other systems that I don't have. There's the freaking Bally Astrocade, the Odyssey, all of the systems. There's about 84 of them. So if you want to see what they have so you know what you want to bring over, this is a perfect fucking situation right here. Since I've already done that, I'm going to turn that off. And then it just shows anything that you are currently using. Anything you have a folder of in your system that is being pulled out by Dick. And that's it for that menu. Now, there's the hold menu. So if you long press on any system, there we go. You got a small menu here. Select new image if you want to change it. Again, this is a theme. I like the theme. Keep it as. But if you add your own system and it's not part of said theme, you can select a brand new image that isn't a garbage one. You can use the original one that it came with. You could rename the system entirely. You could ignore the system, and that means you just don't want to see it anymore. But don't worry. If you do that, you can still bring it back. So don't worry about that. But there's no reason. If you're going to ignore the system, you might as well just delete whatever it is from the card, and then it won't pull up. So, but it's up to you. Cloning a system, that's interesting, and that's what I was talking about before. So let's say, and I'll show you an example here. Oh, there we go. I can tell you because of that. So Nintendo Entertainment System, this is all the US games right here. Originally, this was like triple the size because it had all the Japanese games too. And I didn't like that. Not because I don't want the Japanese and the US mingling. That's crazy talk. No, because I want to separate... That sounds bad, doesn't it? No. I'm keeping it in. Fuck it. Because I want to be able to differentiate between games that I will understand and games I may not understand. I still want them on here because I want to play them. But I want to be aware that the Famicom games, shown right here, that I won't be able to understand. I didn't need them next to my other games. It's just going to be scrolling and scrolling. Sometimes when you have a very large collection, you just want to separate them into two things. So I like that. Originally, it was in two different folders. It still is in two different folders on my SD card. But because they are all .NES, the system picked it up as, oh, these are all Nintendo games, and put them all as one. But you can, once you clone the system, you can then go in and you can, well, I'll show you when we get there, but you can basically go to the ROM path, pick the other folder, and then it will just separate the two folders. So easy peasy. So that's why you would want to clone a system. Another reason is, if you were with me for the Pocket Go, you know that I made the Sega CD twice, one for a multi-disc system and one without it, because the sound was better on one emulator, and the other emulator, the sound wasn't as great. It was mono sound, it was all fucked up, but it actually let me switch discs, which is something that the first one wouldn't let me do. We haven't tried it yet on this one, and I don't know, but we'll get to that. That's another video. That's another one. But so you can do it with that too, where you can clone the system and create two separate ones. One that's situated in one folder and the other one that could be in another folder called like Sega CD multi-disc. And it'll just separate the two and show you which ones have multiple discs, and you can play it that way. Okay, let's pick a fucking system to go into. What's a nice one to look at? What was that? Let's look at the N64. I think this is what happened last time. In fact, I think it is, and I'm mad at it, so let's go to a different system. No, we'll do it, because that's what I did last time, and let's just pretend that we didn't just have to do this whole thing all over again because of sound issues. Anyway. Okay, so now we're in the game menu inside the system menu. So let's R1 here. So we're seeing a lot of the same things, but they're different because watch, sort by. Look, I could sort by last played. I could sort by my most played, my time played, my rating, date, most played, time played, rating. Why is it there fucking twice? I don't know. Why is my most played and most played different? I have no fucking clue. Fucking who knows? Anyway, so if you want to watch it by date, you can see, hey, this was the first game that was released, and you can go that way, which is pretty cool, except there is an except here. You're not going to see anything that didn't have a date in it at all. Now, you might say, what are you talking about? Well, when the ROM was created, if it's not a very popular game, or if it's a hack, or if it's a prototype, or if they just didn't know when the game was created, the metadata might not have a date in it. And in that case, when you search by date, it doesn't just shove those to the end. It just completely ignores them. So anything without a date, you're not going to see. I like to have a lot of things by date because I like to see them in the order that the system came out. Now, that's not convenient if you're looking for a certain game because it's not going to be in any rhyme or reason for you. But if you're searching for that, then you would do it alphabetically, and then you could easily figure that out. I wouldn't search by date unless you're 100% sure that everything has a date. Look, and if you donate to them, the $3 or $4 or whatever it was, then you can edit the metadata right in here, and voila, you'll be good. Now let's change this back because we don't want to view it, but let's just view it by title. It's right up top and I'm not seeing it. Okay. So that's that. Next up we have search. We just did this. It's just literally searching for something within. So if you want to find a Nintendo 64 game, but you don't feel like scrolling through all 300 games, and yes, there's only 364 games, which shows how bad the system is. All the N64 lovers have tuned out a long time ago, so I'm not so worried about it. Look, you like it, that's fine. You're allowed to. Search, so yeah. You can search with the file name, you can see what it starts with, you can see just what it contains. It's completely up to you. But if you don't want to like scroll through everything, you don't have to. You can just do a search, it'll pull it up. So that'll be that. Now, you can also, just to let you know, when you're scrolling through, you don't have to go one by one in this. In the Retroid launcher, you do, and that fucking sucks. But here, you don't. You don't have to go through one individual game by one individual game. You just hit R2, and it skips by letter. B, C, D, E, F. See what I'm saying? So much easier in Dig than it is over there. So, and of course, L2 goes backwards. So if I wanted to go from A to numbers, you can do that. Okay, back to the menu. So, favorites. Now, if you're just like, I only want to see the N64 games that I favorited, you would hit that button. As we said earlier, I don't have any favorites yet, so it shows up as empty cardboard. You can also search by games that you haven't played yet. I don't really know why. I mean, no, okay, let me rephrase that. I do know why you would do it. You would do it because you're like, I want to find something I've never played before. And then you just click that button, and then it'll show you. Then you see that the first game, the double GoldenEye, is gone because I played that game. So, pull it back up again. I don't really see much of a use for it, but I get it. I absolutely get it. Now, here's the add to collection. Now, if I wanted to add, let me see how this happens. Because I think this would add the whole system. And that's, I think, what happened last time. If I add the collection, I'm not in that game. So I'd be adding all of the N64 to the Disney thing. So since Disney's right there, boom. Let's take a look. Let's go to collections. Yep. Look up. I mean, it's off the thing, but there's all the N64 games. So let's delete that crap and create a new one. Stop it. Create a new one. And we're going to do the same thing again here. I know. We're going to get to it. We're going to get to it. I mean, I can show you now if you want. Games, bitch. All right. So I'm just going to go here right now. Now, I know that Tron... Oops. I know that Tron is in that list because it was on there before. And I know there's a Snow White game also. So let's say we're looking for that Snow White game. That's a prototype. It's awful. It's really awful because I don't know what it was supposed to do. But whatever it was, it ain't doing it right. There it is. So I would go into that and then I would add that to the collection Disney. And now it's there. And then I would do the same thing. Oops. Well, I would go backwards here. Here we go. There's one of the Tron games, Deadly Discs. So, oops, go in and add to collection, Disney. There we go. So now if we go down to collections, there they are, 2 games, and there are my 2 games. And same thing, if you want to sort by date, there it is. It's the same order we just looked at. So let's change that. Well, it doesn't matter. No, it does matter. It does matter because then I won't know what's fucking happening. So let's sort by title. Okay. Stop it. Okay. Systems. Let's go back to where we were before. Actually, let's go to a new system. We're you know, I'm tired of looking at N64 games. Let's go to the GP32. No, we don't have any box art for that. Let's go to the Game Boy Advance. Here we go. Look at that. Some nice box art here. Okay, let's go back to our menu. So not played, add to collection we just talked about. So yeah, if you do add to collection in here, it's going to literally add all the games to the collection. Be careful. I know you're on this game, but that doesn't mean anything. When you do it in this menu, it will fucking take every game. So don't do that. Skip game info. Now that's an interesting one. If I just want to play the game, I don't fucking want it to go to the screen with all the info, like right here. I could R1, skip game info, and then what happens is, if I click it, it goes right into the game. No fucking around. So, there you go. And now we are playing. So let's get out of here. Yes. And unfortunately with some of these themes, it gets confused sometimes. So sometimes you just got to move back and forth, and it'll fix everything up nicely. Of course, I don't want to go to skip game info because I like looking at it and reading about it. And also, if you turn on preview mode, you'll be able to see a little video. We'll get to that shortly. So now you can view Didn't I turn that off already in the options menu? Jesus Christ. Anyway, so you can view it just as screenshots if you want. So if you don't want to see the box art, but then you're going to just be like scrolling through and you're going to be like, what the fuck is this? Action replay. Okay, well, you're going to be scrolling through and you're going to, like, what is this? A roadmap? Is this an RPG? I guess it's an RPG. What the fuck is this? You click on it and then you see, oh, it's Advance Wars. You know, you're scrolling through, and you're going to go, okay. You can see that's Aladdin, but you get my point. You're going to look and you're going to go, oh, look, it's a baseball game. What baseball game? I have no fucking clue. So I don't get doing it by screenshots, honestly. Like, I'll look at this and go, what? What? So I'm going to turn that off. But if you want to do that, you can. With memes, sometimes that works. It just depends on how you like things. I like to do it by box cover. It looks nicer. I don't know. My personal preference. Also, merge games. So I have merge games off, as you know. So this isn't going to do anything. But this is just going to show you the games that you have merged together. So you can, you know, I don't know, view it that way. Next. View as, same fucking thing as before. I don't have to go over it again. Everything's exactly the same. If you don't have a theme and you want to make your own theme, you would use that. Okay, I mean, you could change your theme too. So I'm going to skip preview pane for just 1 second. Add to home screen. So what this does is it's going to add the system to your home screen on your Retroid Pocket 2 Plus, your RP2 Plus. So add, now it's going to say if you want to do it as a widget or a shortcut. So you want to do it as a shortcut, and there you go. Game Boy Advance, it shows it right there. And then you would add it if you wanted to do that. And it's going to be the same thing with the individual game, which we'll get to. Oops. So that's a cool little thing that, you know, if you really are obsessed with the system and you just want to jump into it, you can do it that way. Okay, so now we'll do preview pane. Preview pane is interesting. This is something that is behind the paywall, and every theme does this differently, and you can fuck around with it a little bit here where you can change the side and the padding and all that stuff. But basically, it's going to show videos of the game. They're basically going to pull it up from YouTube, and nothing's happening. That's beautiful. Let's go to a different system. Yeah, nothing's happening. Yeah, so I don't know what's going on here. It's literally playing it from, or supposed to be playing it from YouTube. So I don't know. If you don't want to have it here, you can also have it in the game info section. So that's what you would do with that. We'll come back to this, I guess, at some other point, because this is not working. Okay. Fuck it. Turn that shit off. Disable. All right. And you don't need to have, it's showing you here, play videos is on, so I don't know why they're not playing videos. But play videos using mobile data, there's no reason to have that on because there is no mobile data. So we can fuck around with that some other time. Let's move on to manage system. So this is actually fairly important with arcade. And actually, let's move over to MAME real quick so I can show you. So I'll show you right here. So when you go to manage system, it brings up another menu, a complete other menu here. The first three are all about the emulator that you're using. So with MAME, each individual game is going to run differently on a different version or of the core, of the MAME core. That is a weird, unfortunate thing that happens, and some games won't open, some games will. All I can tell you is that, for instance, here, let's do 1942, right? This is going to be running with that was selected. And if you see, it's frozen, right? That's because this doesn't run with the current version of MAME for whatever reason. And it now has frozen RetroArch, which is annoying, and it's something I fucking hate. It's one of the things I really hate about Dig, which is, there's not many, but that's one of them. So you have to come out, you have to go to your RetroArch, you have to go to app info, you got to force stop, hit OK, and then you can go right on back to Dig. And there we're back. Okay, and let's fuck around. So what you might want to do is go in. Say, well, well, these games don't work here, and you should, with MAME you would do it per individual game a lot of the time. But let's try a different thing. So let's say I don't want to do the current version of MAME. Let's look at, I don't know, MAME 2010, right? MAME 2010 might work, right? So now you would go back, you'd go to Manage System, and look, it still says 64-bit RetroArch. That's good. A lot of the time, it'll just jump back to default RetroArch. So what you want to do is you always want to change the core first, and then change it back to 64. Or if you want it default, then you won't have to do that anyway. The second one won't matter, because you won't have the 64-bit. That's up to you. I like to have the 64-bit. Let's see if this works. And again, it doesn't. So you're going to be testing like that. It's going to suck. That's why MAME is a different beast. But I wanted to show you that here because, yeah, it becomes a problem. It becomes a huge fucking problem. Yeah, can't go out of RetroArch. And now, I can't even pull up my... Oh, there we go. I couldn't even pull up my back button. So that fucking sucked. All right, manage game. So let's try one more time. Let's try this with... I want to try it with the whole system. Let's try it with FB Alpha 2012. And it says it's not installed. That's what it normally would say if you didn't download the core or what have you. So now you're going, what the fuck happened? Well, what did I tell you before? You go back to Manage System and look at that. Default RetroArch. It went back to that anyway. So now I have to go in, pick 64-bit. Now we should be good. Does it work though? No, it doesn't. MAME fucking is ridiculous. Especially on this system, I found there being a lot of issues with MAME. Anyway, so just keep that in mind when you're playing. Let's go to something that we all know and love. The Simpsons. So you're going to see that I set this up already here in Manage Game. You'll see it says RetroArch MAME 2000, 64-bit RetroArch. That's the one that works the best for this particular game. So I hit play, and there we go. We get our MAME. And you don't have to do your little back and forth with the fucking analog stick. There you go. You hit select to put coins in, and then you select your person. And there you go. Okay. Enough of that. Let's go back. This is not about testing games. This is about fucking learning about Dig. So let's now go to round and round and round we go. Where we stopped? Nobody knows. We already did Game Boy Advance. Let's go to Game Boy Color. Okay. So where were we? We were talking about managing the system. So, yes. So that's that. Now, another thing is you could edit the emulator. So if there's a problem, like with PlayStation, actually, let me go to PlayStation now that I mentioned it here. With PlayStation before, you'll see DuckStation is what we're using. That's not what I meant to do. You'll see edit the emulator, and that's not the one we're using. We're using DuckStation. And if you scroll down, you'll see boot path, you'll see emulation activity. It wasn't set up like this before. This is the setup that you need for DuckStation if you wanted to just open up a game. All right, and each thing is different. Sometimes it'll be incredibly obvious, and sometimes it won't. When it's not, you'll find it online most likely. But here, it was just a... this isn't a normal occurrence. Usually, you can figure out how to do it. So let's say you got a brand new emulator. All right? Let's get it, because this, again, I said this is a completely different situation. So let's say done. And let's just say you're playing the... We don't want to do a RetroArch core because that's not going to work the way we want it to. Here we go, DS. So we're using Drastic with DS, right? So let's manage system. And let's say we want to edit that emulator right here. So you'll say Drastic wasn't part of this. It is, but let's say it wasn't, because there are many that aren't. Or there's a different version, like the Yao Boost, whatever, the Sega Saturn one. There's like 5 different ones, and the one that it comes with isn't there. Well, the way to figure this out and find out what the package and the activity is, because you might be going, the fuck does that mean? And I would say the same thing if I didn't know. So what you want to do is you want to download this little app called APK Info, right? Open that up, and then once you're ready, you want to go to whatever emulator you have, in this particular case, Drastic, and you want to scroll down to where it says Activities. And then you'll see right here, the very first one, com.dsemu drastic.drastic activity, right there. That's the one you're going to want. Let's make sure, though. Let's make sure that's the one we want. Let's make sure. Go over here. com.dsemu drastic.drastic activity. See? And that's what you want to. Sometimes it's not going to be the very first one. But you'll know, because like look at the other ones. You got settings, ROM selector, key mapper, key namer, customizer. You don't want any of that, obviously. It's going to be this first one right here. But each one has its own. So you can test a few of them out if you want and see what works and what doesn't. But it's usually going to be the first one, and it's definitely always going to be the one that isn't a key mapper. Now, let's go to directories. And here's where you're going to find the directory. So you're going to forget about the beginning part, and you'll see it says com.dsemu.drastic. Don't believe me? Come back here, com.dsemu.drastic. That's your package. That one is always the first one from what I've seen. Now, I could be wrong, but from every single other time I've seen it, it's always the first one in package. Activity, not always, but there you go. So that's how you do that, and that's what when you're going to like edit your emulators and what have you, but you don't have to do that. You could always just use what it came with, but just letting you know. What else can you do? Let's find out. All right, so now you got your box covers. You're going to open it up. Now you could refresh them. So let's say you added brand new images in here. Like you didn't like their scraped ones. They fucking pissed you off. Some of them might have just been screenshots and they didn't have any box art. And you added your own so that you would just refresh it. And then it would look through your entire file and go, oh shit, well this doesn't belong here. Boom! And put the one that you added in. And it'll be here, right, with everything else. It'll be nice, nice, nice. ROM paths is obvious. This is where, what I talked about before, if you clone your system, but you do it anyway. Or if you have things in 2 different folders and they're melding together, zip files or bin and Q files, anything that shares a file name with a different system, you'll probably want to come here, go to ROM paths, and select the specific folder that you want this to pull from. In that case, sometimes you do want multiple folders in there. Then why did you put it in multiple folders? What are you doing? Anyway, scan, that just scans everything again from scratch. So you get your metadata and your box covers, all that good stuff. Unignore files, of course, we talked about ignoring them before. Here's where you unignore them. Ignore the whole system entirely. We already talked about that. Now, RetroArch overlay. You're going to be asking me what a RetroArch overlay is. Well, if you want to use these like custom touchscreen overlays that you might find, you would click on here and select which one you prefer. So you come over here and you'll see here are all the different config files that are in the folder, the overlay folder. And you can choose whichever one you want to do instead of the one they have. Now we know we could have just selected no overlay and it wouldn't have even give you an option. But in case you want that option, it's there for you. You can do that and you can select any one you want. You don't have to use the one that they do. Okay, and that's it for that. And if you hold on each thing, you could select individual box cover, you can choose your screenshot, or you can delete or reset the whole video situation if you don't like the video that they have there. So that's it for this menu. Let's go into the game menu, and we'll do that with Final Fantasy IV. Okay. I mean, we could fuck around, it doesn't matter. So in this, you have, first of all, your notes. Now, this is good for many situations. Well, first of all, you could put passwords here, so you don't have to write them down somewhere and lose them. They'll be right here, so next time you open the game, they're right there. But you could also put down clues, so if you fucking found that a clue, you could save state the game, exit it out into here, write your fucking note down, and then go back in. I don't find that makes sense, but you can do whatever you want. But that's what you would do here. You would edit it, and then you would just type in whatever you want your note to be. Here you can edit the metadata. We talked about that before. See, it says down here what the date is, 9/5/2008. That's when this was released. That's what you want if you're going to be searching by date. If anything doesn't have that, which a bunch won't, then you're shit out of luck with that. It's going to just disappear. Let's go back in there. Now let's talk about this. Now you can rate the game if you want. I don't do that. Then you can anonymously share your ratings. You can anonymously share your place. I don't do any of that shit. I don't rate any games. I don't search by rating, because what am I going to do? Rate every fucking game on here? No. You can favorite it. Look, now it's my favorite game, and now it's not. So that's up to you. You can edit the genre, so you can add whatever genre you want. They've picked it as console style RPG. And there's another one here too somewhere. Role playing. So they could do that. If you're like, wait, no, this is also a cyberpunk game, or this is also, then you would do that too, and you could add that if you want. This way, you can, when you're searching by genre, it'll be accurate. Now, add to collection. Well, we could do that like that, and then new collection, or you can do your whatever you've already made. If you do a new collection, it wants you to name it, and then it'll just automatically put it in just like anything you've ever added to any collection before. Add to home screen. Again, same thing as before. Hit shortcut, and now look, Final Fantasy IV on the Nintendo DS is on my home screen. So I don't have to go through all of this. If I'm playing this fucking game incessantly, I need to come back to it right away. I don't want to fucking look for it. And look, you could add it to your favorites. You could do a lot of different things. You could put it in a collection. You could just go to last game played. But the other option is you don't even have to open dig at all. Just go to your home screen, add that fucking shortcut, and there you go. So that is always an option. Let's go back here. Configure. Now this is the same thing. If you wanted to play videos, you could pick that up there. I accidentally clicked mobile data. But now you're like, well, I think that it should be able to play videos. And you could just, if you don't want it to say what the comments are, or you don't want to see what the genres are, you can turn all that off. I don't know why you would. If you're turning things off in this menu, you might as well at that point just fucking skip this menu, you know? Okay. And now it'll search for a video and not play it again, which again, we'll get to the bottom of in another video. So let that do that. What if I back out and come back in? Yeah, it's still thinking about it. So that's that, and that's go to manage game now. So here, I could again pick, this is where you would pick your individual core. If you're using RetroArch, here you could just pick an individual emulator. So let's say you have two different Sega Dreamcast emulators. Well, you can pick which one opens up this particular game. And that happens a lot where you're like, oh man, this emulator works, especially with like N64. Like one emulator might be fucking awesome, and then one might be like, but it was fucking awesome for a different game. So you can do that to differentiate. What else can you do? You could rematch your file. We don't need to do that here, but you know what that means. It's just like, oh, this isn't fucking Final Fantasy IV. This is actually fucking Sonic the Hedgehog. You would hit rematch it. It would try to do that. You could ignore this file. You just don't want this game to be seen. This fucking game, you hate it so fucking much, you don't want to see it anymore. You don't want to think about it. You just want it gone. So you would ignore it right there. You could delete it. That's obvious. You know what that is. Edit sort key. And that tells you what it's being sorted by. So when you have a lot like games like in your collection, like Final Fantasy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, well, that's actually not a good example because they're all... Well, actually, no, it is. Because let's say you get up to X and X2. Now, X and X-2 might not show up alphabetically the right way. So here's where you'd sort it. And you could just literally name it Final Fantasy 1 with the number 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's not looking at it as letters, because here it's looking at it as, oh, I's. These are all I's. They're not looking at it as a Roman numeral. So keep that in mind. You could edit the way that it's sorted. And then you could reset your playstats. I don't have any playstats, so it doesn't matter. But sure, you can do that if you're into it. And I assume that it's just for this game, but it could be system-wide, and I'm not going to find out because this is not something that I do. And just so you know, if you go into video, you can delete the video, you could reset, or you could search. So let's say I want to reset the video. Yep. Nothing. Because the videos aren't working. But we'll figure that out. So there you go. That's Dig. Are you happy? We went through this together. We had a lot of fun. If you have any other questions, throw them down in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the video. At the beginning, I said this wasn't going to be long. It's fucking long. It's what I do. I like to talk. But hopefully you guys come here for that. You know, I know more people like shorter videos, whatever. But if you like longer videos and you like just fucking around and hanging out and looking at games and figuring out things together as a group, then come visit. Anyway, thanks so much, guys. Hit the notification bell if you want to hear more about the Retroid Pocket 2 Plus, because we're going to be doing a lot more stuff. We're going to have an audio test. We're going to do some Moonlight streaming. We're going to fucking look at a lot of different things. So come back soon. We will miss you while you're gone. This has been Food Alrite, and this is the Misfit-Slime. Later.